Good evening and welcome to Nitra, our first ever live stream, guys. And before we do anything else, explain, Spence.
Okay, so basically, I wanted to dress up a little bit. I'm wearing my Star Wars t-shirt,
Very nice.
but I wanted to represent the Trek side, so I thought I'd do some trill markings on myself. And what I didn't realize is I'd accidentally used a permanent marker. So I now have some very nice trill markings, permanent marked on my face. Let's see how that goes when I try and wipe those off.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have a symbiote pouch, you're just not serious. So let's see the symbiote.
Yeah. I personally love the commitment to it, and that you did this so that we had something to laugh at you.
Well, it wasn't intentional, but hey, here we go.
Put permanent marker over your face.
Hey, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to be doing this side on the whole time.
Excellent. Okay, good. Just don't be pouting and things because it's a bit.
But I'm no Jadzia.
Exactly. So this evening we're going to have a little bit of a chat about Star Wars and Star Trek, and this is a comment that you made, Spence, actually, that have they lost their way in the last few years? These TV shows that we love, the two big boys in sci-fi. You know, we can have another debate about whether Stargate's better. Personally, I quite like Stargate, so you know, but for this evening. So first of all, we've got to say, what do we actually think like the identity of Star Wars and Star Trek is? What do we mean by, or what do we think that if they've lost their way a little bit, how you know, where were they to begin with? Does that make sense? What do you think, Spence? Star Trek, I think, is the easier one of the two.
Well, I mean, for me, it's a case of, you know, I suppose they've evolved over time, haven't they? So it's a case of, you know, Star Wars, for example, started out, it's not science fiction, it's science fantasy. You know, it's stylistic, it's inspired by samurai movies, swashbuckling movies. You know, when it came to the prequel trilogy, it was very much about, you know, sort of political intrigue, stuff like that. And then the sequel trilogy very much just turned for me into generic action space films. And it's the same with Star Trek for me as well. You know, I grew up watching TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. I'll be honest with you guys, I haven't watched all of Enterprise. I couldn't deal with it. But at the same time, like the structure for it, you know, it was very philosophical, moral questions. You know, DS9 really pushed it to the limit of that, but there was still this hopeful ideology behind it. And now it's punchy, kicky, shooty, generic action space TV show for me.
Do you remember that Deep Space Nine episode? I think it was season 6 when Cisco was actually talking to the camera.
Oh,
yeah.
When he framed,
the
fake hologram describing the invasion of Romulus plans.
When he teamed up with Garrick in that episode, didn't he?
At the very end of the episode, he's doing the captain's log, and at the very end of the episode, he just like delete logs, sort of thing. Yeah, and he's talking about like mass murder and they, you know, like how far the war had pushed them, you know. And this is a time as just the first Iraq War had just ended, but the war on terror. Imagine if that episode had aired sort of post 9/11, at the impact it would have had. It was a phenomenal episode. That's what I love about Star Trek, is it reflects society a lot of the time. It actually reflects our best and our worst elements of our life. There's so much about like transgender and stuff as well in Deep Space Nine.
With the Trill particularly.
I love how they had actually they had the two Trill kiss, didn't they? The ones they had a relationship, but at no point did they actually reference any sort of like transgender issues or something. The point of the episode was that they're not supposed to, because the symbionts had a relationship previously, so they're not supposed to have like a relationship in their new forms, sort of thing. But really, I mean, that's why I love it. It was really about sort of transgender and relationships. I mean,
well, even the Klingons handled it better than most politicians in America. I mean, you know, when Korg, you know, when he first met Jadzia Dax, he said, "Oh, my old friend Curzon."
Yes.
You know, "Oh, my old friend Jadzia."
And I loved that callback to TOS as well, getting those guys back in. Also in the new makeup with no explanation. I loved it.
Yeah. In Discovery, I mean, they've done that because of the new series, didn't they? With the way they changed the Klingons again. Do you love how I love that episode? It's not the first time the Klingons have changed their makeup, though, is it? And I actually do remember they did that brilliant. Another Deep Space Nine. I think Deep Space Nine is seriously underrated sometimes. They did that series when they jumped back to the original series, The Trouble with Tribbles, and the Deep Nine characters went back, and they actually the Worf.
We don't talk about that.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's brilliant. What's with all the? We don't discuss it.
And I think that wasn't that one of the tail end episodes of Enterprise.
They covered it in Enterprise. Yeah, they covered
how
what
that
happened.
Right. The augment DNA or something.
Yeah, that's it. Storm. Yeah,
there was something about augmented DNA, wasn't there? Yeah, and then they just did it again. I don't like the Klingons now. I think they look weird, and particularly
in Discovery.
Yeah, I just think they just look odd. That one, the one female character in Discovery. No, not in in the first two Discovery. Yeah, she just looks strange. She just looks weird.
Well, I mean, so I've got some opinions. I was actually going to dive in on some more critical stuff, but I'm actually going to defend Discovery on this. In that, if you look at the Klingon makeup, the way that the headpieces rest in TNG, DS9, etc., you've got that double nostril approach. Yep. Like, you never see the back. Well, you do in one of the movies, see the back of one of their heads, but you know, other than that, I mean, it's very similar makeup. I mean, it's maybe more enhanced. It's maybe a bit more modern. But I've got massive problems with the new Star Trek series, which we'll get onto. But at the same time, I think the way that they handle the Klingons, other than, yes, there was the initial baldness, which they say was part of like wartime Klingon culture, and culture is transitional, it changes. And I mean, other than that, and the fact that they were stockpiling the coffins as opposed to the shell attitude that they had in Next Generation onwards, which is if a Klingon dies, it's just a shell. Other than that, I actually really liked the depiction of the Klingons in Discovery. I think particularly, he was only in it for 2 episodes, but the actor that played Tukuvma in the first 2 episodes, geez. Yeah, Tukuvma, Klingon Matajaj. That guy sold it. I mean, you can tell that guy learned his Klingon lines, remain Klingon, Klingon Matajaj. Boom. Like, it was the guttural approach to the pronunciation. And even with those facial prosthetics, he really sold it for me. So I actually
saw a documentary. I kept watching the post-Discovery. They did the post-Discovery episodes on Netflix when it first came out. He actually kept talking Klingon off character and stuff. He didn't break character. And it says it was really frustrating for everybody.
I was gutted that I mean, spoiler alert, but I'm gutted. Everyone's seen it. I'm gutted he died after the 2nd episode, because that guy was like the best Klingon actor out of anyone. He put his soul into that. I was so impressed. It was amazing.
It was good. Yeah. It was really good. His acting skills. Yeah. I mean, when I first started watching Discovery, the first time it came on, I signed up for CBS All Access, totally ready to nerd out. And of all the other actors, he stole every scene. I mean, you didn't even know who he was. I mean, even with all the makeup, he stole every scene he was in.
It was that bit where he was saying about when he was, and I don't remember, obviously I don't speak Klingon, but apart from a couple of phrases, but when he was talking about, he was saying, the Federation is down in the muck with the Andorians and the Vulcans and all this, and it was the Tellarites, and it was, oh my god, like the guy was incredible.
The cool, and the way he was talking about the relationship between Klingons and the Federation. Well, the Federation, everybody, and here comes the lie.
Yeah,
and then Giorgio says, "And we come in peace."
Yeah.
Well, it may have been. I mean, in a way, I think they missed out on an opportunity to compare that as almost like a Borg comparison, because the way Takuma saw it was an assimilation of their culture and denying them their individuality as a spacefaring race. You know, and that's something we've never seen, like, or at least I don't remember us seeing with Klingons, is that attitude of, you know, the Federation's trying to tame us and take our culture away. You know, I think incredible,
isn't it?
Really impressive.
Yeah, what we know about the Klingons. A little bit of
that in DS9, you know, just a slight little bit, but not as pronounced as Takuma's declaration, you know.
Yeah.
And this metaphor, though, is the Federation America. You know, they're the good guys. They always say they're the good guys. You know, we come in peace. Shoot to kill, shoot to kill, shoot to kill.
Well, they were shooting to kill in Discovery, which is one of my problems with it.
I would say, like, the I'm blanking on who it would be, but whoever the most chaotic society is in the Star Trek universe would probably be America. You know, it's. I mean, we're having people riot at school board meetings because they're asking children to wear a mask during a global pandemic. So even the Ferengi knew blowing up bombs in your atmosphere was bad for the planet.
Yeah. And they were very, very commerce-based.
If we're talking about, like, Star Trek losing its identity, though, are we really focusing on Discovery, or are we thinking as well? I mean, did actually Enterprise start down this road of forgetting what it was supposed to be? Because my personal experience, I think Enterprise was just too complicated. I think they overdid it. I think if they just simplified that storyline, it could have really been brilliant. But I think they all the time travel stuff and the Time War things. I think if they just dropped that and done a series like TNG, you know, just like, we're going to go to a different planet each week and we're going to build up, and they're building towards the Federation, it would have been awesome. But then all this crap they threw on top.
I mean,
Sorry, Storm.
The schism between humans and Vulcans. God, that was delicious, I thought, you know. And the dependence humans had on Vulcans and the submissive role that humans had with Vulcans, you know, and especially the finding the listening post in the temple.
Oh yeah,
that was one of my favorite episodes of the whole thing. You know, it had nothing to do with the Suliban, had nothing to do. You know, I did kind of like the whole arc with the Zindi, you know, especially the destruction of Florida, and that was kind of cool. But like, I agree with you guys. The time travel thing and the zipping around, and
it was just nonsense. And they're talking about that might be coming back through into Enterprise, don't they, as well? You know, like the guy from the future that we never really saw his face. He looked like a Romulan to me, I always thought. But he was, you know, like talking to the they think that's the guy, or one of the fan theories is, you know, the guy in Enterprise in the 3rd series, and he keeps talking to I've forgotten the name, the captain from the Mirror Universe.
Archer.
No, in Discovery. What's her name?
Giorgio, Philippa Giorgio.
Yeah. They think it's him. They think he's the guy that is the face from the future, sort of thing. One of the things I love about that, though, is when they did the Kelvin universe. So they did the J.J. Abrams films. They had little bits from those 2 films in it. You know, that bit at the start where he's driving the car and it goes over the cliff. That's the cut. That's where the Zindi fired the weapon. And then obviously in the 3rd film we actually see an Archer class sort of thing, you know, like the Enterprise sort of version of the starship as well. And I always like that. They seem to respect Enterprise more than the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just full disclosure with you guys. Like, I've seen all of TOS, all of TNG, all of Deep Space Nine, all of Voyager. I have not watched all of Enterprise. I could not get on board with it. Discovery, I've seen 1, 2, and some of 3, and I've seen all of Picard. But I've kind of like, I ran out of steam with Enterprise and I ran out of steam with Discovery, and I've definitely run out of steam with Picard. And then I think we're getting very Star Trek heavy here. I mean, we haven't even started
We'll
talking about
swing
Star
it back around
Wars.
to Star Wars in a second, but I think you should give Discovery Season 3 another try, though, mate, to be fair, because it's the best series. It's
Really?
that third series.
It greatly improves.
It really, really good.
If you're away from the
Okay.
Klingon, stuff, the storyline, and you're on to something new, it's
Because I won't lie, like I really enjoyed Discovery Season 1. I really enjoyed it, and I thought I would be properly against it when it first started, because the initial episode started and within 10 minutes we had holograms. That's not law friendly, and we had the change to the Klingons, and I went, yeah, screw this. And then I stuck it through. I really enjoyed the first series. I enjoyed the second series up to about halfway through, and I got fed up. And then Picard came out, and I don't know if this is a controversial opinion. Picard's freaking awful, in my opinion. Awful show.
So come back to that in a sec, but let's just focus on Disco for 1 second, because I think Discovery gets good. I'm with you, to be fair. I didn't really watch the second half of the Discovery series. What I did was, when Discovery Series 3 came out, I thought, I'm going to have to figure out what happened. So I sort of went back and got up to, but to be honest, 2 or 3 episodes I don't think I actually watched. And I just watched enough that I knew what the hell was going on. sort of thing. And then I got into Discovery because I knew they'd gone into the future. So I was like, oh, I want to see what's in the future. That's good. No, this is really good idea. Brilliant. But then it took half the series for you to actually see the Federation and actually see anything in the future.
That's it. I got 2-3 episodes in, and I was like, sorry, guys.
But when they do, mate, and the little nod to Nog, because obviously the Nog actor passed away, didn't he? Was it last year or the year before?
Yes.
Aaron, I believe his name was.
Aaron.
Yeah.
So one of the starships actually is the Nog, and you actually do see it pretty good.
What? No way!
Yeah. So I mean,
I was saying, actually,
little nod to him.
Before we started this storm, my business partner Mike, who I'm also on Aliens and stuff with, who unfortunately couldn't make it today, him and I were meant to go to Destination Trek, and we were going to get a photo with Nog, Rom, and Quark in full costume, and we didn't go, and we put it off till the next year. But of course, the next year was COVID, and it was cancelled, and now unfortunately he's passed away. So gutted we missed out on that opportunity. I loved Nog in Deep Space Nine. That was some real character development right there. Yeah,
all the Ferengi were brilliant in Deep Space Nine. I think Deep Space Nine might actually be my favorite series.
It's my favorite.
It's snuck up on me.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I liked about it is, all the other series we're talking about, before and after DS9, it was kind of the standard, the Federation's the good guys, it was sparkly clean, Earth to paradise. But DS9 rolled that back. It showed the gritty, underhanded, backstabbing, semi-corrupt nature of the Federation, and continuing that thought forward to Discovery. Discovery was about, there's spoilers in this thing, but the Discovery was all about fall of empire, at least for me. How fall of empire and how quickly it creates power vacuums, and it was kind of interesting to see, and you got this one guy at this one Starfleet port who's been taking care of this banner, has been passed down from his ancestors of the Federation, and he's waiting for somebody that's a commissioned officer to hang the damn thing. And that was kind of heartbreaking, it's just like, geez, dude.
I love the whole premise of this. It was a bit boring in the first half of the series because of the burn limited sort of thing, and against boilers. There was this thing. Nobody
don't spoil it. I feel like I should have watched this before today, but I had one day to prep.
Honestly, go back to it and we'll discuss it again, because you'll come back and go, oh, I see what you mean. But I'm with you though as well. At the first, when Star Trek Discovery started, I'm like, Spore Drive? Right, okay. And then, like I said, their technology was just like TNG sort of levels, or even beyond. And I'm sort of like, this doesn't make sense. Like, it's like, you
Well,
didn't. Why do you keep doing prequels? We don't care. And it's like, you know, I like the
it's a thing,
technology.
isn't it? It's weird you say this, because Mike and I were discussing this, and we were saying, do you know, if you want to have technology that is beyond that appropriate period, just set it later. I mean, it made other than the Spock and Sarek reference, what difference did it make time-wise that they had that? They could have had a second Klingon War. I mean, they had that in the freaking. I don't know if either of you guys played Star Trek Online.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
There was a second Klingon War. So why not just set it then if you want to change the law, you know? And I know that it's nitpicky, but we're freaking Star Trek fans. Like, we're gonna be nitpicky. That's Star Trek.
That's what we do. So the thing that annoyed me was, though, it complicates your life as the writer. Because again, like you said, the two things that Star Trek proper Trekkies have got is that we really nitpick over the canon. And we like that. We like the story to actually have a flow. We're detail orientated, and we like the ships and the technology. So why do a prequel that just complicates all of that? You can't just do whatever you want in the series. I mean, that's why they did the Kelvin timeline, wasn't it? Because they thought, well, we'll just create this event. We can change time. We can. This is a new universe now, so we can do whatever we want, sort of thing. And that's how they got around it. Discovery didn't do that. They just made their lives harder. So just don't. Just set it just after TNG ended. You know, just do it there.
Exactly. Well, exactly. I mean, the last we saw was freaking Nemesis, which was wasn't a big Nemesis fan.
I like Nemesis.
You like Nemesis?
Yeah. I like the space battle. I like the scimitar.
I liked surprisingly, I liked Insurrection. I thought Insurrection was pretty good. I saw it in the cinema when I was about 7. I loved it. It's got an evil admiral. It's got all of the
theater when I was 7.
Yeah. I went to the theater when I was 27. So,
you're not that much more than me, Jamie. Come on.
Insurrection is awful.
It's awesome.
No, it's everything. You're just wrong, Spence. Like when you drew
it's better than Nemesis.
And now I know why I'm in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Every other Star Trek film, generally speaking, is terrible, and that is the odd number movie. It's just bad. First Contact was incredible. Insurrection was awful. To me, it's on par with The Final Frontier. It's that bad.
It's not that bad.
It's pretty bad.
At the same time, though, you've got to consider it is that it would have been okay if it was an episode, a mid-season episode in, say, season 3 of TNG, you'd excuse it.
Yeah. Oh no, don't get me wrong. I still love it because it's Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I love all Star Trek, even when they go find God. There are bits of that film that are brilliant. I love it. I love the whole start. It's probably one of the best starting sequences.
I will. No, but there's some great quotes out of that. You know, I don't believe in a God that would. I can't remember the exact quote now, that Bones quote, but you know, there were some great moments out of that.
I like that. But, you don't ask the Almighty for his ID. That's a great Bone line. Great Bone line. But
how should we check out? What about Star Wars though? Because we've completely ignored Star Wars.
Yeah.
But before we get over into Star Wars, there's a couple comments I had. No, we have yet to, and this I'm kind of ashamed that we've gotten to this point. We haven't mentioned Lower Decks.
Okay, so what's your hot take on Lower Decks?
The thing I love about Lower Decks is that it is a bouquet of Easter eggs. Oh my God. It has got, I mean, you have to watch every episode 4 or 5 times to catch all the damn Easter eggs.
You just, whoever wrote it is just a complete Trekkie who just loved TNG. As well, every time you watch it, you just go, "Oh my God, I know what they're on about. I know the inside joke on that one." So it's like,
I mean, it is. I mean, it's meant for a younger audience, but I mean, it is the scripts are cherry picked for the nerdiest of the nerds.
But Stormy, as you've just very much identified, yes, it's for a younger audience, but at the same time, they've managed to do the Pixar thing, which is where it's aimed for a younger audience, but it also has things that appeal to an older audience.
Yeah.
And I was going to come to this way later, but I personally feel the Lower Decks for me was more of an authentic Star Trek series than Picard was, or Discovery season 2. Are we allowed to talk spoilers? Are we being spoilery?
Yeah. No. Well, if you haven't watched it, why are you
I'm
watching
not
it?
gonna lie. The end of Lower Deck season 1, it blew my mind when the Bajoran security officer got killed and the guy got the thing ripped out of his. I was like that. I felt more emotionally moved by that after a couple of episodes than I did at the end of season 2 of Discovery. Like, I cared so much more about those characters, even though the comedy element was there and it was cartoony. Like, I felt like they established everybody more, and maybe that's through episodic episode. I don't know, but it had so much more of an impact for me.
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys.
It is a comedy. It is a kid show, but the thing is, it works. And like it's the Easter eggs, isn't it? I love the thing where she's getting drunk on the Romulan ale. It's there going, you'd think it'd be green, but actually it's blue and it's freaking awesome. Like, I got a bat left. It's just silly. Like, we're watching it going, that's the thing for me. It's authentic Star Trek. And you've seen about how Star Trek's lost its identity. Watch Picard and then watch Lower Decks. Which is Star Trek. It's not freaking Picard. The Federation aren't even in Picard. Except that he goes to the office once, which looks suspiciously like a bank.
Well, the Federation isn't in Picard, and it raises a lot of questions.
Yeah,
it looks like
it does, doesn't it? It's a Starfleet commander. It's just crap. And I put a video on it literally. So in Picard Series 2, could we see the Enterprise E? Because all the beta canon says actually the Enterprise E is still there. And the Enterprise F gets launched 5 years after Picard's made. And a couple of people saying, the Enterprise is already in Picard. Because not the hologram that we see for 2 seconds. That doesn't count. But it's no. But those are my main problems with Picard. Other than the fact, the end was terrible. And those starships we see at the end, the Sheng-Yi and all those, are just bad. And apparently it was all thrown in really last minute. Apparently the creators were just like, we've made Picard. We had the Federation on in it, so we maybe put the Federation in it, and it was like a week before post-production was supposed to end, so they threw it together, and you can tell.
Well, dude, oh no, sorry, you go, Storm.
Oh yeah, the thing I loved about Picard was the stories that had nothing to do with him. It was joining, becoming up with the Rangers and all of that. I thought that was a strong storyline. And please, Lord, somebody make a series out of that. That was much more interesting than the whole, I thought. And also, at least Riker's got a ship now. I mean, for God's sake. I mean, that was a little bit more interesting. But the thing I liked the most was
he seems to have stolen a ship. I think he beamed aboard that ship. Like the Shenzhi or Shanghai, whatever it's called, which would have had a captain. Yeah. So it was like, bye. And the captain's like, what? Sod off, mate. This is my ship now, and I'm taking the fleet with me. and the fleet that's weirdly exactly the same. So we've got hundreds of ships.
No, I've got so much to say about that later, Jay. So much to say.
Well, you see, one of the impulse engines just fell off one of the ships as well.
The other thing I liked about the Discovery was a similar kind of thing. Season 2 of Discovery, my favorite thing was the stories or the background with Pike. And I'm really looking forward to
Pike, like Anson Mount was a standout.
Where did
he was amazing. Amazing.
The thing I love about that was they knew he kind of looked like the original actor, or enough, an older version of the original actor, enough that when they sort of did little bits where they cut and showed you bits from the original, they didn't bother changing the actor. They just showed him both actors. because he looks enough like him. He's like, yeah, it could just be him 10 years down the road. It's really could it's not that far off.
And his acting skills are really good. And the thing,
Anson Mount was fabulous.
The thing that they did with Pike in Discovery that really added the backstory to the original series pilot was they made Pike sit out the Klingon War because he was the best of Starfleet. He was the best. He was the exemplary example of Starfleet. And then I, of course, like a nerd, I had to go back and rewatch the original pilot, and it's like, holy shit. I mean, it's like there were, we talk about the discrepancies in the canon and everything, but it really did flavor that a whole lot. And it kind of explains why, Spock went out on such a limb. I guess Spence don't want to hear about this. But it also kind of explains why Spock went out on such a limb to help Pike get back to where he needed to be, because he was, I mean, Spock met Pike long before, and so I think that was just it.
I want to do a video about what we hope to see in Stranger Worlds before it comes out, before the thing. So we should do it. I'd love to do a video on that.
Yeah.
How many actors have played
Can I
Pike?
just add, Stormy, I was listening to you the entire time. It's just you raised a point, and it reminded me of something I needed to send to myself, which I'll bring up in a bit. So I was listening.
Teaser. Teasers and fucking teasers now.
Talking about spoilers, one thing I always do is I never read geek press, so if there's like when a movie's coming out, I don't want to know anything about the plot because there's always plot spoilers or such and such is in the movie. I try to really
I'm the same.
And it really fucked me once. Really screwed me over. I was living in San Francisco, and the San Francisco Cinema Society, they did a viewing of a movie called Bottle Shock, right?
Okay.
You guys probably never heard of Bottle Shock. Is a little tiny indie movie. It was entertaining. I loved it. So, I think it was the director was there and one of the stars of the show. So we all, it was the Cinema Society. We always chat with everybody. Nobody knew anybody from anybody. But what I didn't know was the guy that played Bo Barrett, which was at this at this wine and cheese party for Bottle Shock, was fucking Chris Pine, and he just rapped. I know, right? And he just rapped on the J.J. Abrams' first Star Trek film. I had no idea who he was.
Oh my god!
We were talking about what it's like to film in Napa. What's his favorite wine? How many hangovers he had. That was what was. I did it.
He was such a good Kirk as well.
Yeah. So
hey, if there's more coming, they reckon we're going to get another J.J. Abrams Star Trek. We think it was off the cards for a long time, but it looks like it might. I'm going to go tentative.
He did a damn, in my opinion, a damn fine job. Like, I mean, like better than Discovery did in terms of upgrading the technology but keeping it similar. It was a different team dynamic, but it was a team dynamic I enjoyed, like it didn't deviate too far. They did the same thing with the Klingons. You were talking earlier on about the redesign of the Klingons.
I think.
It was, it was basically, other than the double nostril, it was basically the same thing.
Into Darkness is classic Star Trek as far as I'm concerned. I thought it was
totally. I loved it. But once again, I hate to say this, guys, we haven't talked about Star Wars yet.
No, but we could. I was going to say, let's just keep it like keep our brains in one place at a time.
There's so many crossovers between the issues with the two. That's all I'm saying. But like, Jay, you're the host. You do what you need.
No. We are co-hosts, and if you are willing to draw all over your face for this episode, then you are allowed to take the lead occasionally.
Well, I didn't think it was permanent, but I'm going to be
commitment.
Yeah, I'm going to have a very, very awkward week next week with the council and the NHS, but who cares? It's not good.
Don't walk into a hospital. Jesus Christ.
Oh, no, they're a client.
What's wrong?
Yeah, it's all good. I'm modern. I can do this.
On BBC in no time. A new variant of COVID.
They might like it. I might get
skin lesions.
Just get it tattooed on. But go on, we'll talk about Star Wars because I think I said to you earlier.
So let's talk about Star Wars. Because the unique thing about Star Wars is, I mean, obviously with Star Trek, we've had the initial series, and then we've had Next Gen, DS9, and Voyager have all come within years of each other. So there's kind of like and obviously a lot of people didn't like TNG when it came out. They were like, this isn't the same, and whereas some people didn't like Deep Space Nine, at least they had Next Gen while it was going on. They had Voyager, which is a bit more similar. I mean, I've got my own issues with Voyager, whatever. Enterprise didn't do particularly well because of etc. But the movies were very successful, and I personally really like the movies and think what you want about Enterprise. What I would say though, with Star Wars, it's a different kettle of fish because this is not a long-running TV show. This is literally bam, 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 3 movies, bam, 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 3 movies. So you got the original trilogy, very much George Lucas's vision, but he didn't have 3 movies planned out initially. He had some ideas, and it came about as much a mixture of his ideas and also editors doing a massive amounts of work reining him in, and different directors for the last 2 movies. Then the prequel trilogy came out, and don't get me wrong, it's not a masterpiece in my opinion, but there's a lot of good things going on there. And I mean, I was very young when it came out, and I was running around dressed as an older man looking back on it. Yeah, there's some faults, but there's a lot of heart there. There's a lot of heart. And I feel like the sequel trilogy, for me, there isn't any heart in it. I feel like it's death by committee. I feel like you've got a bunch of people sat there throwing out ideas, and basically it's the product of a writer's room that isn't necessarily Star Wars fans. They're not people who've been fans of the movie or the genres for years of their life. They're people that are Hollywood executives who want to make a popular science fiction movie. That's my opinion, at least, of the sequel trilogy. I don't know about you guys.
Film had we're going to kill. Which of the original cast are we going to kill in this film? And then which of the thing? And it's feeling very formulaic.
But Jar Jar Binks survives. That's the thing.
What do you say?
But Jar Jar Binks survives. Let's kill this guy. But no, let's leave Jar Jar alone. He must live to the heat death of the universe.
That's the point now, isn't it? He has to live.
Yes,
he has to.
I wasn't definitely like.
He must be anti midichlorians. Well, I mean, it is just Jar Jar Binks. I mean, it was just.
What about those bloody little penguin things?
Oh, those are.
They're so cute.
Dogs.
They're stupid little things. I
love them.
Okay, so I think the way that oh no, Stormy, you go.
Oh, I'll just Chewy roast them and over an open spit was just I love that.
So, I mean, I suppose my point basically, and this applies to, and this is why I wanted to introduce both elements as well, is because for me, I think one of the issues that both Star Trek and Star Wars has is a lack of cohesive vision. So, giving you guys some examples. So, Deep Space Nine ran for 7 seasons, right? And it had 3 producers. TNG ran for 7 seasons and it had 5 producers, right? Star Trek Discovery season 2, which for me was where it went wrong, had 14 producers, right? Picard ran for one season, 11 producers, right? And we all know with Star Wars that it had an entire team of producers and writers and all of that. And I feel like, in a way, these guys have met death by committee, because I know Star Trek, it was George Lucas, but he had a bit of help. However, you look at how The Mandalorian went when it had a proper showrunner who was passionate about the subject, flipping fantastic, and you look at initially when they relaunched Star Trek with Discovery season 1, Yeah, there was a bunch of producers, but Discovery season 1 was a really good season of Star Trek. And I think what's happened is that they've almost got to a death by committee thing where it's basically, can I swear? Am I allowed to swear?
A little bit. Don't say the C
Piss
word.
poor planning. Piss poor planning. Basically, they start the series and they've got no plot outline. And then what ends up happening is, and this particularly happened with Picard, is they have writers' room drama where basically everybody's going in there and they've all got ideas. And instead of the plot serving the scenes are serving the plot. So they come up with, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we had a Borg cube and another renegade Romulan group that's separate and
They've always
this
done that
and
a
that
little
and this
bit in
and
Star
that.
Trek, though, haven't they? They've always done that a little bit sometimes. But you wanted to talk about Star Wars. You were just insistent.
Well, yeah, no, but there are so many bits that cross over though. That's my point, Jay, is that there are so many bits.
Well, yeah, I mean, Star Wars, started out with, has the same kind of problems. I mean, when episode 4, 5, and 6, Lucas directed the first one and other people directed the sequels while he was, getting, Lucasfilm off the ground and the effects and everything else was going on. When it came to episode 1, 2, and 3, but there's a long period of time in Lucas's life, which went from the end of episode 6 to when he started with 1, is by the time they got to 1, there was nobody in Hollywood that would tell Lucas no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
Star Wars episode 4 was edited by his ex-wife.
His wife, yeah.
She's at that time they were married, right? Do I have that correct?
They were married, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure she told him no a lot, but it was really tight. So it was this collaborative effort all the way through. I mean, Lucas would come on the set for episode 5 and 6, and well, this is what, and this is this and this, and this is sure. But the directors did the directing thing. But they actually asked David Lynch to direct the 6th episode, Return of the Jedi, and he turned it down because after Dune, he didn't want to work with a major sci-fi production. However, as you were saying, Storm, it's a case of though, yes, there's lots of people involved, but it's sort of one man's vision that is then molded into something constructive, as opposed to nowadays, it's an entire room full of people with conflicting ideas that all want to get whatever they want out there. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
But I think across the 3 films in particular, though, there's the 3 very different. I don't think there's like a identity to Star Wars. I think there's a style. I think there's a cinematic style to the films, and you can pretty much go wherever you want with the stories, but it's got to feel like Star Wars.
Yeah, I agree.
The 3 films, though, there's a very different sort of styles. The one is basically like a comedy. Was it the last one or the middle film? I'm just forgetting now. Well, it was the one where Luke dies. It was the second, wasn't it? Of the 3.
What do you mean?
The Star Wars films when Luke Skywalker dies.
It was episode 8.
Oh, you're talking about the fucking flipping sequel trilogy. Yeah, I don't. That was the second film. That sucked.
But that was almost like a comedy. That film. There's little bits where he comes out like on all these sort of bits. It was very. It didn't slap with Star Wars. It slapped like comedy.
Well, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm constantly talking over you guys, but I fully agree with you. I think one of the main issues with, and this actually applies for both Star Trek and Star Wars, is that they don't take themselves seriously enough, or in the case of Picard, they take themselves too seriously. So what I would say there is in the initial, so let's look at it from both angles. So we look at Star Wars, right? It's contextual comedy. Why do people laugh? People laugh when Princess Leia calls Han Solo a nerf herder and kisses her brother. A bit weird. Versus in the new Star Trek series, it's like, oh, your mother, ha 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 ha, and it's like all that's happening there is you're taking away from the severity of the situation, because in the initial series, all of the comedy was contextual. So it was based around the situation you were in. Whereas what they've tried to do in the sequel trilogy is inject comedy in like a Marvel style with lots of quips. And that isn't Star Wars. That's Marvel, because that's how Marvel has been since the beginning. But that's not Star Wars. So
That's what
trying to turn
it felt like a Marvel
trying
movie.
to turn Star Wars into a quippy thing, it doesn't work, because I was in the cinema and most people were like, what the hell was that? It didn't make any sense. And then secondly, what you're doing is Star Wars is supposed to be taken seriously. Darth Vader, serious threat. Grand Moff Tarkin, serious threat. The Emperor, serious threat. If you've got one of your like squadron leaders and they're making your mama jokes against them, that is diminishing the threat of the enemy, which diminishes the threat in the story, which makes the whole thing unravel, because you're not threatened by the bad guys then, are you? Because they're a joke to the audience, you know. And it's the same as Rey not struggling against them. It's a case of like, you know, people go, oh yeah, you don't like Rey as a Star Wars protagonist because she's a female. I don't give a flying fuck. Like, I think, you know, Star Trek Discovery, Michael Burnham's a great protagonist. Love Michael Burnham, fully on board, great. Vulcan, dealing with emotions, doesn't always make the right decisions. Rey always makes the right decisions and always has the expertise for whatever situations he's in, never experiences any hardship. So how is that a story we can enjoy? There's no growth there. There's no character.
She does grow through the films. I'm not sure.
Does she though?
Well, and she, you know, she had some hardship because she grew up on the ass end of the galaxy, you know, alone. I mean, that's kind of a hardship.
Yeah, but that's telling, not showing.
Ah, I see.
Okay.
You're told that she's had hardship, but you're not shown she's had hardship.
But she's actually,
and
like,
that's a classic.
Queen of the Hill at the start. She's like living that ship, and she and like, you know, scavenging, and she's got all the skills and everything. So
I'm just saying, I've studied literary theory, so it's like a case of basically, for me, if I'm told somebody has had it hard, but I'm not shown somebody has had it hard, do I know they've had it hard? You have to be shown the hardship, because otherwise that doesn't show you character development. You need to see how they've developed. You can't just be told they've had it hard before, but now they haven't. That's there's no emotional reaction to that.
It's just back
with her though. I think they did a similar sort of thing in the original movies, in that Luke went from knowing nothing to being a Jedi really quickly, and it was sort of like that with her as well. She just all of a sudden was like, what's that?
Luke had nothing going on from in the first movie. The only thing he did is struck one lucky shot. That was it. Right.
Yeah.
In the second movie, he got knocked out by a freaking snow beast and could barely lift his lightsaber. Then went out to train. Right. Failed his training and then got his fucking hand cut off by Darth Vader. And then in the third movie, even then, he almost got beaten up on the barge and then had to prove himself against his dad. And his victory wasn't about being good at fighting. His victory was not fighting. That was Luke Skywalker. With Rey, it was, right, I've never picked up a lightsaber, but I'm going to defeat so-and-so. I've never swam, but I'm going to swim better than anyone. I've never done anything, but I'm going to be the best at it. Han Solo's had the Millennium Falcon for 30 years, but I know how to bypass a compressor.
The whole Millennium Falcon bit pissed me off. I have to admit, in that movie,
it's done. It's done.
It's stupid. It was the way they did it was stupid. I loved it when Han Solo stepped on the bridge and went, "Chewie, we're home." My hairs did sort of go.
Yeah, I enjoyed that,
but it made no sense. It was so lazy the way they did.
And this is my point. And this is my point about when people go, "Oh yeah, you only don't like the new Star Wars because Rey's a girl." I don't care. I loved Discovery, and Discovery had a female lead. I loved it because she was flawed and she had to learn and develop lessons and create friendships and you know, move forward as a character. Rey didn't. Rey was instantly good at everything.
I bet Spence, you also liked Rogue One, female driven.
I loved Rogue One. I loved Rogue One.
Great.
You know the best bit about Rogue One? The last 10 seconds.
Yes,
last 10
yes.
seconds of that film are incredible. That was
Well,
one of those
my-
moments I go, it was so good. I liked Rogue One though because they took a bit of the story that everyone knows and they filled it out. Yeah, that stupid robot, which I wasn't on board with. It was a little irritating. But they've always got to have one irritating character, haven't they? Something like they do it on purpose. Voiced by Wash from Firefly, wasn't it? I think
Alan
Yeah, it was,
Tudyk.
yeah.
Alan Tudyk.
Yeah.
Two dicks. Yeah. But I love that guy. You know, I was talking to somebody last week about if they did a remake of Firefly, if you could have one character to bring back, it would have been Wash. But they killed him. Idiots.
I know, they're stupid. He was also very good in what's it called? Doom Patrol.
Yes, he was
Very
good.
good. Doom Patrol, great.
He's done.
I'm a huge Brendan Fraser fan.
Brendan Fraser, yeah, I do like that. And Tudyk in that new series he did, I forgot what it's called now. Where he plays an alien and he's trapped on Earth, and he hates everybody.
Seen that. Yeah, it's really good.
Fantastic. I cannot wait for the sequel. It's genuinely brilliant sci-fi. And he just hates everyone. He keeps talking to himself all the way through, and he's like trying to talk himself out of murdering everybody. Because I could just kill him, and that would solve my problem. So and then he has to like talk himself out and not doing it. It's a fantastic series. I can't wait for the series 2. But yeah, I forgot what we were talking about Star Wars, weren't we?
We were talking.
I can. Oh no, you go, Storm.
No, go on, Storm.
Oh, I was just saying we were talking about Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Going back to the committee kind of thing and disruptive filmmaking in terms of long-term projects, I think it's always been a problem. You know, I mean, there's lots of beloved series that change directors, change producers over and over and over.
But with the good ones, Storm, don't they always keep the message or expand upon it, as opposed to trying to completely recreate it?
I mean,
I'd argue though that like Marvel, you've got the head of the ship, and his name has gone out of my head. How many times have we seen his name? He's now chief executive at Disney.
Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige. He's always been the head of the ship, though, isn't he? Always the head of the ship, keeps it on course.
And this is what I was saying about George Lucas is, and you know, very much so the same with Mandalorian. You know, it's one person's passion project.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. There's two. Did Spence freeze?
He's frozen.
Oh, I wish there was a more embarrassing expression on his face, because we can really poke fun at that. Poor Spence.
We can poke fun of him enough because of what he's done.
But you know, there's two series that leap to mind that went through all sorts of turmoil. Still a fan favorite. One is the old soap opera series that was on in America. I don't know if it's ever made it to UK. Dark Shadows.
Yes, well, we saw the film was released not long ago as well, wasn't it? With we never really saw the series though. After a minute.
Yeah, this was like started in the 60s, and there was this whole series of, it was just another soap opera on American television, and then it was going to get canceled. And so the creator of it said, well, let's just go out with a bang. And so all of a sudden there's a vampire.
Yeah.
And it went on forever, plus all the other series, et cetera, et cetera. And I think another one is Doctor Who. It has been
reinvented and reinvented. It goes through ebbs and flows. Doctor Who, it's popular, then it's not, then it's popular. We're in a low ebb at the moment. It's not very popular at the moment.
And I think a lot of that, you know, when you have disruption like that, and I think the thing that was, in terms of Star Wars, the thing that was really disrupted the most was Solo, because it had, I can't remember the two guys that were originally directing it, but you know, the actors went to the producer and complained, I don't even know what the fuck this is. You know, and I guess is Kathleen Kennedy that the one that they ratted it out to. And you know,
how many times have we seen that though in the last few years? When, I mean, look what they did the Snyder with you know, Justice League.
Oh, Justice League, yeah.
That would never have happened under Marvel because Kevin Feige would never have let it happen. You know,
Yeah.
you've, like I said, you've got the captain of the ship, you've got somebody steering them all in the right direction. That's one of the things I worry now, that it's Disney have got Star Wars, and I think it is, Spencer's got it damn right. It's by committee, and they keep everything's. I think good ideas go in one end, and they just get the crap kicked out of them, and then something comes out the other end. But then but it's why Mandalorian worked, because you got Favreau, who obviously loves the genre, loves the project, and is the captain of the ship. He wrote several of the episodes, he directed a few, but even when he hasn't, he's still that executive producer in charge, making sure it's going in the right direction. And even though I actually didn't like Mandalorian when it first came out, I thought it was boring. I then just adored it. He's back.
Sorry, guys, my internet went down.
We got to talk for a minute. It was great.
That was wonderful. Yeah.
Sorry. But I honestly think that's an interesting point, isn't it? That when there's somebody in control, the captain of the ship, keeping it all in the right direction, we can, like I say, we can list examples. We're just saying, Spence, list examples of when there isn't that one person. DC, all over the bloody place. Marvel have got Kevin Feige, keeps it all in the right direction. The Solo movie was...
Oh God, yeah, where they fired everybody involved and then
and changed them halfway through, yeah, and you can tell in the film. I to be honest, though, I think they got that film wrong from the start. The casting's wrong. I think they shouldn't have even thought about making a film. I hate prequels. They just shouldn't have bothered. And I think it was doomed from day one. But then they just kicked the crap out of it as they went along as well.
Is it bad, Jay? That I actually quite enjoyed Solo.
Yeah, we have opposite opinions, and you're wrong about a lot of things.
I like Solo.
I know, but I'm also right about a lot of things. So.
I like the origin story bit, between Solo and Chewie. That was kind of fun. And
that was good.
To see the other glimpses of the Empire, especially getting the shit kicked out of them in just the worst parts of the galaxy. So we always see the shining ships and the Death Stars, but this was like, it looks like, at least the scenes where they met, it was like, oh, here's the Empire's version of Vietnam.
Yeah.
And
I thought I hadn't seen that before. And that was
it was good. It was good.
No, I found it
for
very
everything that the film went through, the story and the production. Because remember, Ron Howard was stuck with a steaming pile of shit. I mean, a lot of the original scenes, he just had to. He looked at all the reels and, well, I should say footage. Well, hell, footage is even wrong in the digital age. He looked at all the rights, and he said he saw what he had, and he knew what he'd have to do to correct some of the things along, and then he just started some reshooting, and then a lot of additive stuff. And with the absolute clusterfuck that the production was, I think Ron Howard did an admirable job to bring out a
damn right.
Lesson.
Damn right.
It's not, let's not pretend it's not Rogue One. It's not Rogue. Don't shoot me in the comments. But I thought it was a good effort on his part, and he really did save the movie. I mean, it was palatable.
Actually, it's funny you should say that. It's funny you should say that.
He made it better, but it was still bad. It wasn't bad. It was boring.
I don't think it was. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed Solo.
I know I'll tell you what. No, it's genuinely forgettable. As we're talking about it, I'm going, oh yeah, bloody thing. I'm trying to remember a bit of the film, and it's like,
I mean, you had the sexual tension between Vision and Daenerys Stormborn. It was just
yeah, but no, Storm. You've literally proved a point there where the only reason that you care about those characters is because they've been other characters.
It was the sexual tension between Chaucer.
No, you're right though.
Yeah. She's been in 2 big franchises and she's ruined both of them. The Dragon Queen. Well, she was in Terminator.
That's 3, mate.
Well, no, she didn't ruin Game of Thrones. That was awesome. What was the third one she was in?
The writers.
Mate, Game of Thrones.
I mean,
but she's brilliant in Game of Thrones.
I don't.
Are you joking? Like towards the end?
Oh, no, not towards the end. as soon as she stopped getting her boobs out because she got too powerful, I was not interested.
Well,
But
then she ruined it then, didn't she?
as soon as she had a bit of respect, stop trying to
I
show
know
off.
who's getting the hate mail for this show. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dear
As soon as she
Jamie.
got a bit of self-respect, I lost interest.
Okay, so
I thought she was brilliant in it, but she was terrible in Genesis, and she was terrible in Solo. She did a couple other films since, so they were great. But sorry.
Okay, so that's fine. I'm just saying, like, I was going to bounce off something you said a minute ago, which is about copy pasting ships.
Yeah.
So it's a case of like, okay, so one thing about Star Trek fans and Star Wars fans is they're big geeks and they love ship designs, right? Okay. Now, yes, George Lucas made a very awkward prequel trilogy. However, he did, have a team that came up with some very nice original designs. You think about the Naboo fighters, these yellow planes with you can picture it in your mind, can't you?
Those long sweeping engines.
Yeah, exactly. Can you picture in your mind any of the ships in Picard?
Yes, because I hate it.
Okay.
It's memorable from the point of hatred.
Tuna cells, that's a Federation ship.
The ship that they fly around on.
Yeah, okay, but any of the new ship designs for me were like super generic. I could not draw you a picture of what okay, so they're flying around in a new Federation ship. I could not draw you that ship. I could not draw you that ship at all.
Do you know what? It always reminded me. Do you remember the game Wipeout when we were kids? Wipeout.
Yes, Wipeout on PSX.
Yeah, the ship they fly around in Picard, the original ship. Go back and look at Wipeout. They've just copied and pasted it from one of the designs from that. Very angular, even the colouring.
There's two tests which I applied to Picard, and they both were messed up. Which is, one is a design test, which is okay. It's a space drama. Can you draw the ship they're in? No. Okay. So the new characters. Okay. Can you describe the new characters without describing what they look like or what they do?
No, not really.
Okay, can you describe Raffi? Let's do this as a quick one.
Yeah,
right? Raffi. Who is Raffi?
I know the actress from other things, so yeah, I mean, quite slightly angry.
But as the character, what's her character?
Drug addict,
burnout, alcoholic.
Burned out,
depressed.
Yeah, but those are
boring,
that's exactly like that's not a characteristic. It's
she's very one-dimensional.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same thing with okay. So let's do Rios. So describe Rios.
Now I like Rios, but again, I like the actor.
Okay, so what is he? What's his character?
He's a bit of a Han Solo sort of character. I always thought he's a bit of a renegade, but actually very good.
Are we talking about the EMH?
Is he though?
I was like, but I think I like.
What does he do that is Han Solo like, apart from be mouthy to people?
Drink. I think there's some drinking.
Yeah, drink. Story's got it.
He drinks.
He's supposed to be a slightly cheeky chappy, isn't he? And that's the thing. And that's like, but I'm with you. The actor's great.
But the thing about Han Solo is a multi-dimensional character because Han Solo acts like that, but he's also a hero and he also comes back at the last minute and all of this. What does Rios do?
Well, Rios does. I mean, he does come back and he does actually like.
Does he?
I think he does develop as it goes along, but there isn't that big thing at the end.
In what way?
Any, but no, I'm agreeing with you that there isn't sort of like he doesn't have that moment when Solo comes back at the standard Star Wars.
Which is character development, which is something that Picard lacks.
Picard lacks lots of things, but I would agree with you.
You're so
if
right.
we talk about the ships, right? This cut and paste ships they did at the end, where the only thing they changed the warp nacelles a little bit. There's things about that ship that I hate. For one, they just look crap. The CGI
they look awful.
Yeah, but the designs are crap. The only thing I liked about it is underneath the belly, there's 4 lights. And it always reminds me of that episode, you know.
Lights.
Yes.
Lights.
So basically, the only
is
reason that you enjoy it is because it reminds you of a better era of Star Trek.
Yeah, a much better Picard.
Dude,
Yeah.
I mean, but you do have to look at it. Do you remember the Battle of Wolf 359 at the beginning of Deep Space Nine in the first episode? They made a point of making all of the starships look different because Starfleet is not a military operation; it's a science operation. So you've got all these different things, and even when in Deep Space Nine, Battle of Angels, when they went against the Dominion. All of the ships look fucking different because and it's like, how can you spend 1/3 of the amount of production costs on that episode, but still have individual ships? Whereas when they all turn up at the end of Picard, they're exactly the same. It shows no love for me.
The design's bad. Where the deflector should be, there's a cargo bay. But if you line up that ship next to the Enterprise A, the cargo bay at the front of that belly is as wide as the Enterprise A. And again, it's like they've never met a Trekkie. I say that in the video I just did.
This is my whole point: is it's not a series designed by people that love Star Trek. It's a series designed by people that want to encourage people that don't like Star Trek to watch Star Trek. But the whole point of Star Trek is we're fucking nerds. We care about this shit.
The thing that I learned about this conversation between you two is that, and I say this with all sincerity, and when Amazon's Lord of the Rings series gets done, holy cat crap, is there going to be something to discuss? If you think that the Star Wars fandom or the Star Trek fandom is bigger than the Tolkien fandom, you're so wrong on all ends. And
I know Tolkien.
If you read the Twitter feeds, man, I mean, there is great despair and furious anger about what Amazon may or may not do to the Silmarillion. And that's a future show. But I'm just telling you.
There's
high blood pressure coming.
Dude, I honestly don't care about Lord of the Rings. I'm one of those few people that's
I'm done talking with him. I don't know who Spencer is.
He's an idiot with
no. What I'm saying is I don't personally care about Lord of the Rings, but I can appreciate the anger that people experience because I'm such a Star Trek fan, and I can see Star Trek going wrong, and I'm like, no, So
it's infuriating, isn't it?
It is.
It is infuriating. But I was worried about Picard from the first episode. I genuinely was terrified. But do you think the influence of, because you mentioned Amazon there, and obviously Amazon was the driving force behind Picard, but also Lower Decks. And then obviously you got Netflix was sort of the influence behind Discovery. Do you think the companies, I know they're all on CBS Open Action in America, aren't they? Open Access. Is it Open Access?
Now it's just Paramount Plus. They changed it. Yeah, it was CBS Open Access.
The company's still behind the production though, isn't it? So is there an influence? Do you think they have said, look, it needs to be a bit different to Discovery?
You guys have both watched Discovery, haven't you?
Yes.
Do you feel like you've got a good grasp over the story of Picard?
It's very forgettable.
For me, it was like the salvation of the Romulan people was like his last hurrah. There was all these things that he did, between the films and this when it picks up the Romulan. For me, it's a case of right. Okay, so I loved Discovery season 1. Right, I loved it. Okay, there's a lot of inconsistencies. A lot of people didn't like Michael Burnham. Blah blah. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought season 2 was great, but it got a bit boring. I hated Picard. I thought Picard was like nonsensical. And I was hoping if you guys have both watched Picard, can we just do a quick
story analysis of this. Are you guys cool with that?
It doesn't.
Oh, sure.
It doesn't really
Okay.
100% make sense. But the very simple story is obviously you got all the Romulan thing, and then you've got the Data.
Okay,
Data's
so
children.
let me go. Right, okay. So Maddox made Soji and Daj 37 months beforehand, right?
Mhm.
And they sent Daj to Earth and Soji to the Borg cube to investigate the reasons behind the synth attack on Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So if Maddox did that, why did they erase their memory?
So that they, no, true. But then
Okay.
if they don't
Because
know,
how does that help the investigation? Like, how are they meant to know what they're looking for, or get the information, or feed it back to it?
sub programming.
Okay, cool. So
No, it doesn't.
also,
It doesn't make sense. But it's a good
okay,
story.
so also, why did he send Soji to the Reclamation Project? Because the Reclamation Project has nothing to do with synths.
My assumption was to hide her, because the Reclamation Project was so kind of secret. I can stash her here, and she,
But it was also populated by the Romulans, so
the people that were programmed to be terrified of her, sort of thing.
So, but why did he even send her in the first place to that location? Because it's not anything to do with synthetics; it's to do with Borgs.
Because she needed to meet Picard.
Yeah, but why? Because Maddox didn't like Picard in Next Gen.
No. But I mean, yeah, but he obviously might have developed a respect from as time went on. The whole Maddox character.
All right. Okay. So if he did send it for that purpose, right? Basically, there was Narek and Narissa, who were basically only there for her. So is this basically a Jad Naraj thing, or is it a Romulan thing? The Borg Reclamation Cube.
It's the thing, isn't it? It's not the Romulans. It was supposed to be Tal Shiar and, like what you said, that oh god, I can't pronounce it. That cult.
Jash Naraj.
Let's just say that. I can't say that.
But they're supposed to be a secret society.
Yeah, but no, because it is the Romulans. Because I think the Romulans have got hold of it because it's the only thing they've got, sort of thing. It's the one thing that the Romulan Empire have got left, because they haven't got a home world. They haven't got anything else.
Okay, but at the same time, they say that it's a collaborative effort with the Federation, which is why Picard is allowed access, because he has diplomatic access, because he is part of the Federation. So if it's Vashnaras, do you see where I'm coming from?
Well,
it makes no sense.
Plot holes.
The whole thing makes no sense.
Let me add a little bit more plot hole to this. Let me just start off with going back to Rios just for a second. I think the character of Rios, it was like he had multiple personalities, and the multiple personalities.
Well, he did, yeah.
Well, it was the holograms. There was the navigator. I mean, there was a scene with trying to integrate all the, in Picard's office. They're all the holograms are there, and then Rios is there. And I really thought that. Well, no, Rios is not there. But anyway, I thought that a lot of the character of Rios was also made up a lot of the holograms. That said, when you ask me, like, what do I think the plot was for Picard? I think, well, Picard's growing some grapes. He sees Data's catch on fire, and then he blows 7 of 9 ship to smithereens, and then 7 of 9 takes the weight of the rest of the the story until the solution. It was, to me, Picard. The thing I remember and I really think about that I thought was tight was just 7 of 9 story arc. The rest was just in caps.
7 of 9 is actually probably the best thing in the series by quite a long way.
Oh god, yeah. And so the other thing that we're talking about, the cube, and why do the Romulans have them? Well, the thing that we really don't talk about, or no one's really discussing, is Voyager destroyed the Borg.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And we're just arguing over.
No, the Voyager didn't destroy the Borg.
They didn't. They destroyed a transwarp conduit.
That was one of 5.
They didn't destroy the Borg. They didn't destroy the Borg. They just destroyed one.
They wiped out one
conduit.
Nexus.
Yeah.
Exactly. There was supposed to be 5 of them. They
Right,
seriously harmed.
Also,
And
I'm just
they
going to
did
throw this
that,
out there as well.
That's
It's,
disease in there, didn't they? That just
Yeah.
wiped out the Queens.
So the thing is, this whole premise, it totally ignores all the other Borg, all the other cubes. I mean, we're all wrapped up about this one singular cube, and it just, there's more Borg. You know, there's other stuff.
Well, yeah, but this is the whole point, though.
And it was
Storm,
just like,
is
you're just arguing about
they're
one
like, we've got one Borg cube. You know, it's like there's fucking hundreds of Borg cubes out there.
Yeah.
That's the whole fucking point about the Borg. Is very intimidating. You know, it's not just one Borg cube. That's what, and this is my whole point about the show. It's like, it's bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. You know, we've reclaimed one Borg cube. I'm like, dude, you would have reclaimed like fucking 50 Borg cubes at this point. Why are you negging out about it?
There's also the space tentacle thingies that start coming through the thing.
Tentacle.
Yeah, that is the least terrifying. That was supposed to be, oh my God, this is the end of the universe. It was the least terrifying end of the universe I've ever seen. The Romulans sort of they started to come through. Ooh, I was like, okay. These techno, whatever they're supposed to be, because they don't look that scary to me. Everything about Picard was just crap. The only thing that's nice about Picard is
I'll tell you what. Here we go. Right. So, okay. I'm gonna invite you, Stormy and Jamie, to answer this question. Right. Okay. So
we're ready.
Here we go. Let's go Star Trek. Maddox made Soji and Daj 37 months ago and sent Daj to Earth and Soji to the Borg cube to investigate the reasons behind the synth attack on Mars. That's right, yeah?
Yeah.
Assuming,
cool. Yeah. Okay. So why did Maddox erase their memories? Because does that not impede the investigation? And if so, how are they meant to know that they're looking for anything? And how are they meant to know how to send that back home once they find that information? It doesn't make any sense.
I thought,
okay,
my impression was that Maddox did that to hide bits of himself. It was to protect him. I mean, and I may be wrong, but it was just the way the story kind of chunked along on square wheels. It was like, Maddox had something to hide and says, well, let's just hide all this evidence. Erase from him.
The thing is that like once they discover that, how do they get that back to him? Because they're not supposed to know who he is.
Yeah, but her programming started to activate when she learned different.
No, but when she activated, she still didn't know who she was. When she activated, when Daj activated, she fought off a couple of Tal Shiar agents, but she didn't know who she was.
No, she didn't know what she was supposed to be doing there.
But she's very attracted to Pinot Noir, apparently.
So am I.
Oh yes.
But basically, like so after that, so Soji was sent to the reclamation project. But why was she sent to the reclamation project? Because what does a reclamation project have to do with androids?
Well, the other thing that crossed from, I've got all these strange theories because the thing, like I said,
that's good. I want to hear it.
It was a story built on square wheels, and so I've got all these strange things. The reason Maddox was sent her to the Borg cube was he had some other project he was working on that never even made it to the script. I'm thinking, well, maybe she had another mission that was different from her sister's. And I mean,
which is bad storytelling because storytelling is supposed to be.
I'm not trying to defend the story. Yeah. I mean, oh my God in heaven.
I think she's at the reclamation thing because she had to be, because the writers needed to place her there to push the story forward.
Exactly, which is bad storytelling.
It's bad. It's lazy storytelling as well as the one. It's not complicated. The only thing in that series, which honestly I think was really good, is 7 of 9, and I'm really interested to see where the 7 of 9 character goes now. She's basically the new queen.
Yeah.
And that's going to be really interesting arc. Picard series 2 is worrying the crap out of me already from the adverts with Q, and I'm like, oh, they've forced the Q back into it. Picard, I love Patrick Stewart. He's one of the greatest actors. I love him to death, but the man can barely walk.
Yeah, he's old.
It really limits the believability.
I checked.
Some of the
Okay,
series.
on your point, man. On your very point. You know, when so just when she explodes, right? I think it's episode 1, and he's knocked back 90 feet. Exactly how much titanium was put into his head. Holy shit. I mean, if I got knocked, I mean, if I fall down, if I just fall, I'm going to sprain something.
No, he'd have broken his hip.
I mean, Picard flew halfway across San Francisco.
Yeah. The bit where he's about to have a sword fight with a Romulan.
And I completely disengaged from reality. I was like, oh, fuck, you're kidding me.
He's about to have a sword fight with a Romulan. I go, this old guy's about to get his ass.
I won't lie though. Like I felt the sword fight for Romulan was very on character for Picard.
It was on character.
I thought it was completely on character.
900-year-old Picard could barely lift the sword. My problem is, it's not the thing, it's the actor. He's just too old to do like an action series, basically. It's the wrong.
No, I know, but he's not. But he's not doing an action series. And this is my whole point. Is I don't want him to do an action series. I want him to do like a, somewhere between. But
I'm sorry, I had the worst thought. There's a reason why Professor Xavier's in a wheelchair. I'm just saying.
Patrick Stewart really needed to sit down.
Patrick Stewart really needed to sit down. I know that the canon.
We might be British. But don't get racist about it.
Racist?
I'm joking.
Ableist.
He's so confused.
Yeah, my legs have stopped working now.
You've enjoyed yourself this evening, Spencer.
But anyway, so no, basically, it's a case of you've just got to make sure that your captain's managing his experience.
Yeah. So, because we're going to wrap it up, because we've only got 5 minutes. Has the question we came in to answer was, has Star Trek and Star Wars, that we've barely mentioned, lost their identity? Right? And I'll just say the thing, I don't think Star Wars has. I just think they've made a couple of bad movies. And I think Mandalorian is bang on what Star Wars is. And I think it's phenomenal. I think Star Trek... there's always been good Star Trek and there's always been bad Star Trek. And you've got to go and watch Series 3 of Disco because it is actually getting really good. And I hope Stranger Worlds will be
fingers crossed
what we want. But Lower Decks is the best Star Trek. It's the most Star Trek-y Star Trek ever.
And in terms of science fiction, in just terms of pure science fiction storytelling, the original animated series.
I'll be back in 1 second.
Was really kind of good, and so anyway, I'll close, because we've been only talking about the TV, the broadcast stuff, the television series or the movies, and there's still a huge breadth and depth of storytelling for both stories, Star Wars and Star Trek, in books and comic books, and some of those do well, some of those really hit hard, and some don't. Did we lose Spence?
Yeah, basically. I mean, Stormy sums it up. Like, I'll tell you what, you can be a big fan of Star Trek or Star Wars. It doesn't matter. If you're into the new shit or the old shit, it doesn't matter. As long as you're interested in it, we can all get on. So have a great night, people.
I'm going to watch it all.
Yeah, damn right. Damn right.
Jamie's back.
What are you going to watch, all? What are you going to watch?
Whatever they, if we're good or bad, I'll end up watching.
Do you know what we need to do? Is we need to do the three of us all watch a Star Trek movie and invite people to watch it with us. It'd be so much fun.
I think that's got to be our next thing. We got to do a.
Oh, it'd be amazing! Like we can whack it on. It'd be so good.
Yeah, and just think right. I'm going to do so that I want to do like some of the best episodes as well from the series, and just sort of tear them apart. Don't know how you get around the copyright issues, but we'll figure it out. Well, actually, you just don't, do you? You just have us and you watch it in the background, so I think you just don't have it on screen. But
Jamie, the thing I was mentioning is that we one thing we didn't cover was the breadth and depth of the books that's been published over the last 4 decades.
Star Trek and Star Wars, yeah.
And some of those hit well, and some of them are miserable. You know,
I actually really liked the ones William Shatner wrote for Star Trek. I thought they were really good. He's not the greatest writer in the world. Cool. We love Star Trek.
I mean, I remember one of the first Star Wars books I read was a Splinter of the Mind's Eye. You know, and that came out, God, when they came out, 80 something maybe, but it was kind of canon, it kind of wasn't, but it was entertaining to read. You know, it helped you know, expand the universe, at least for me.
I like the graphic novels; they're great, and I like how they've started to use the graphic novels really well. Because I mean, the graphic novel before Picard came out, Countdown, actually really fed into the series. Normally, they're like way off canon, and they're not. They're nothing to do with the shows, really. They're just, you know, a bit of fun sort of thing or whatever. But that one actually like gave you all the background for the series. They used the graphic novel to set up the show, and we actually see a Pegasus class, whatever the Enterprise F is supposed to be. I want to say Pegasus, but I think I'm wrong. But anyway, we actually see that class of starship, which makes me excited, thinking, oh, could we actually see the Enterprise F in Picard in the next couple of series? Because they've sort of hinted at it in the comic book. Yeah, and everything else in the comic book kind of is uncanny. You know, it's like they introduce his, you know, the Romulan servants. Yeah. And all that sort of thing in the Countdown series, and it's like it actually is like I think they've used it to get people excited, and I think that was really clever. They should be doing that in future. But kept it canon. But yeah, some of the graphic novels have been excellent, but also the online Star Trek Online. Some of the things that we haven't spoken about as well is some of the fan projects, some of the fan films and things that they've done over the years. Yeah. Some of them have been really, really good.
Mate, honestly, like, you know, we had bloody oh God, what's his name? It's so many fantastic people involved in that. They had Tuvok. Tuvok was in it.
Yeah, Tuvok, yeah. Well, actually, Chekhov was in a couple. They got Chekhov on a couple. But I mean, they were generally, because they're made by people, particularly in like the dark ages between sort of Enterprise ending and Discovery starting. You know, because without the J.J. Abrams films, we probably wouldn't have any Star Trek. If they was just lucky they were popular.
Yeah, that's true.
When we had those dark ages, there were fans making films and making YouTube videos and things, and they were great. And made with no money. But so they should be. That's kind of part of the charm, really. But and that's the thing for me, is because I think you're right, Spencer, that you say that I think a lot of stuff that we're seeing at the moment isn't made by people that actually love the material. Where that fan art and some of the graphic novels, some of the books and things are made by people that really love the material, and that's, you know, and I'm a stickler for, I like the canon. I don't like things to be changed. And it's every so often you see Star Trek episodes and you go, no, that's not right, because whatever happened in that other episode, and you know, when we argue about these things, I hate it when those things happen, those mistakes happen, which is why I hate prequels, because and I'm going to worry about Stranger Worlds, because it really winds me up when they do that and they mess with the canon. What are they going to change?
I'm wondering if the method to introduce multiple different timelines or whatever, get off canon, was his experience with Pike's experience with the time crystal.
Yeah, that's what they'll end up doing. They'll end up having a messing around with the time stuff again. And I always think time travel episodes are always, they're really hit or miss. They're either brilliant or they're awful, and there's not much in between, sort of thing. But I don't like the time travel ones myself, except Voyage Home, which is obviously the best Star Trek movie. So when they go back and save the whales, don't pull a face, Spence, while you're falling asleep. The Undiscovered Country is my favorite Star Trek film. I love Undiscovered Country, but only because it was the first one I ever saw at the cinema, and I skived off school to go watch it. And I love that starting bit, like, and then the praxis explodes. I was just like sat there as a kid, like skiving off school in my uniform. I don't know how they let me in. Much school time going. This is awesome!
Oh my god!
Yeah, my favorite Star Trek film by a mile, but because it's because of a personal reason, isn't it? Because I was there, sort of thing. Come on, focus, you get. But yeah, so have we answered the question?
I think so.
I think so.
It kind of has, and it kind of has a lot to do with everything. But cinema changes at the end of the day, and cinema might be dead. So we're all going to be streaming, which in which case all of our TV shows are going to be made by Nexus or Netflix, Amazon, or Disney.
Nexus.
The one thing I was going to say actually about Disney having Star Wars is, if we know anything about Disney, is they will squeeze every last bit of blood out of the stone that is Star Wars. And that's my worry about the future of Star Wars. There's about 9 different projects planned for Star Wars over the next 5 years. Some of them are going to be brilliant. Some of them are going to be awful. And I worry about I think we're going to be like, we all get Star Trek'd out a few years ago, and I think that was part of the problem with Enterprise when it came along. We just had DS9, we'd have Voyager, and people were bored of it, and it wasn't a very good show. But I think,
I think that was one reason why we're bored of it. It was like,
yeah, true say.
Yeah, time travel. Yeah, it's just shit. Do you remember though when Enterprise got announced and they had Scott Bakula as the captain? I was just like, that is yeah, that is the cleverest thing that's ever been done. This is going to be awesome. And then I saw the chick that they had playing the Vulcan. I've forgotten her name now. Taval. But anyway, and I thought, yeah, she's beautiful. I'm on board. And then the series was shit. But anyway, thanks for joining us tonight, guys. It's been
you're very welcome.
Lovely conversation. We're definitely going to have a chat about Stranger Worlds coming up very shortly. And please get in the comments, guys. If you want anything else for us to discuss, then please let us know, and we will have a think about it for future videos. And we'll see what Spencer's going to do to himself next time. How are you gonna top that?
I don't know, mate. Yeah, it's raw, isn't it?
You'll come on and be covered in blood. And someone like, oh my God, Spencer, what have you done? I tried to do a Vulcan ears.
That'd be sexy.
Vulcan ears. No, I want to see Ferengi ears on him. You know.
Ferengi ears.
Yeah.
God, with 2 massive plates super glued to his head. Do that. Get a plate, cut it in half, and lobby this on your head with super glue. Stop sticking your tongue out, Spence. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Good night, guys.
See you, bye. Thank you.
Bye.